welcome back to episode 2. In episode 1, we heard about Rohan's unimaginable hardships and how he lost his job for an action he took with noble intentions. What happens to Rohan after that? Let's go ahead without further delay. It was already morning. He had slept for over 8 hours, a heavy, dream-filled slumber he hadn't even realized he'd succumbed to. As was his habit, he checked his mobile phone. What? 27 missed calls from the same unknown number. Who could it be? Who has something so urgent with me? He muttered, his fingers trembling slightly as he scrolled. He called back the number, his heart pounding with a mixture of dread and bewildered curiosity. This is Miss Josephine Clark speaking from Viridian Ventures HR department. Rohan sighed, bracing himself for the official confirmation of his dismissal. Yes, I know. I've been terminated. Just tell me the formalities, I'll comply, he said, his voice flat, resigned. Miss Clark's voice on the other end chuckled, a light, almost disbelieving sound. Sir, you are not expelled. Rohan blinked, utterly confused. You were just removed from our garments outlet, she continued, and repositioned as the chief financial advisor, directly reporting to the CEO. You have been promoted, Mr. Rohan. A position that takes years, sometimes decades, for most people to achieve. Your new salary will be $12,000 per month. $12,000. Rohan's mind reeled. That was multiples of his current salary, a sum he could only have dreamed of. That was the kind of money he would have earned in 2 years of tireless work at his previous post. Is this some kind of prank? He stammered, disbelief warring wildly with a sudden, dizzying, overwhelming hope. Miss Clark's tone remained professional, yet warm, tinged with a hint of admiration. No, sir. Mr. Singhania called for a special board meeting immediately after you pointed out that critical financial fraud in the balance sheet. He was furious about the negligence. He instantly laid off his previous financial advisor, as it was his grave mistake for which the company was going to incur losses in the millions. Mr. Singhania himself, Mr. Rohan, personally suggested that you be appointed in his position. He saw immense, raw potential within you. He believes you have the sharpest mind for finance he has encountered in years. We are incredibly proud to have you back in the organization, in a role befitting your talent. I still don't believe you, Rohan whispered, his voice hoarse with emotion, his mind struggling to grasp the sudden, seismic shift in his fortune. Check your email, sir. The official offer letter may have already reached your inbox. Rohan fumbled with his phone, his fingers flying, his heart hammering in his chest. He navigated to his inbox. Yes, indeed. A pristine, official offer letter, Chief Financial Advisor, Ekla Apparel, a subsidiary of Viridian Ventures. Signed personally by the CEO, Mr. Vikram Singhania. Joining within a week. He stared at the words, utterly dumbfounded. He could not believe his fate, his sudden, miraculous ascent. That 1 week passed in a blur of exhilarating excitement. Rohan could hardly sleep, his mind racing with the possibilities, the sheer joy of this new beginning. Aditya, though stunned, celebrated with him, a quiet pride shining in his friend's eyes. Finally, the day arrived. Rohan, now dressed in a new, perfectly tailored suit, entered the hallowed halls of Viridian Ventures, not as a mailroom clerk, but as a top executive. His new desk was strategically placed just beside the CEO's imposing cabin, a symbol of his newfound proximity to power. He met Mr. Singhania multiple times a day, assisting him in crucial board meetings, offering insights that always impressed, learning the intricate inner workings of the multi-billion-dollar empire firsthand. Days flowed into weeks. Rohan's profound knowledge, his natural efficiency, his unwavering dedication, and his sharp, analytical mind amazed everyone he encountered. Mr. Singhania grew incredibly fond of him, taking him under his wing, introducing him proudly to foreign delegates as one of the most brilliant minds in the company. The CEO was no longer just his boss, he transformed into his mentor, his confidant, his well-wisher, a father figure Rohan had never dared to dream of. Rohan felt a profound, burning gratitude, first for Mr. Sharma, the humble mill owner who had first seen his spark and given him the priceless gift of education, and now, for Mr. Vikram Singhania, because of whom Rohan now stood on a pinnacle he could only have dreamed of from his cold garage room. Things continued to improve, soaring to heights Rohan had never imagined possible. His work was his life, and his success blossomed, transforming him into a respected figure within the industry. Every employee in the office, from the lowest intern to the highest executive, now looked up to him, a testament to his sheer talent and integrity. One day, as Rohan was leaving the office, a wave of agitated murmurs reached him from the main entrance. Did I hear my name? He thought to himself, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. As he approached the glass doors, he saw Babu, standing there, his gaunt frame a stark contrast to the gleaming corporate lobby, trying to force his way past the stern security guard. Rohan, recognizing the desperate face from his past, quickly intervened. "It's all right, guard. I know him," he stated, a quiet authority in his voice that surprised even himself. He stepped outside with Babu, the city's ceaseless drone immediately enveloping them. Babu's eyes, wide and pleading, met Rohan's. "Rohan, Sahib. I need your help, urgently. It's for some medical expenses. My mother, she's very ill." His voice was hoarse, filled with genuine distress. Then, from beneath his tattered clothes, Babu produced a small, tarnished object. "I brought you this," he whispered, pressing a golden locket into Rohan's palm. "The one from the orphanage manager's cabin. I told you about it. I need $5,000, Rohan. In exchange for this, for the truth of your past." Rohan's mind reeled. The sheer velocity of his recent life-altering events had completely erased Babu's previous offer from his memory. He stared at the locket, then at Babu's desperate face. 1,000 questions swirled. "Yes, sure, Babu. I will help you with the money. Give me the locket." Rohan pulled out his wallet, walked to a nearby ATM, and withdrew the requested amount, handing it over without a second thought. Back in his car, the locket heavy in his hand, Rohan's thoughts raced. Is it real gold? He wondered, turning it over, its dull surface reflecting the city lights. Surely not worth $5,000. If it were, Babu would have simply sold it himself, wouldn't he, without coming to me? Or, did he genuinely want to help me? Was this his twisted way of giving back, of offering a piece of my history? He shook his head, the complexity of the situation overwhelming. Whatever it is, he murmured to himself, clenching the locket. If what Babu said is true, it belongs to my mother. And I will wear it on my neck, always. A sudden, profound sense of emotion, a mix of hope and sorrow, welled within him. Then came a day that wove threads of fate deeper than any corporate ladder. It was the grand occasion, the wedding of Mr. Singhania's beloved daughter, Alisha. The entire office buzzed with joyous anticipation. Special sweets were distributed throughout the departments, and an atmosphere of pure happiness permeated even the corporate halls. All senior managers, including Rohan, were invited to the lavish celebration, a testament to his integrated role within the company's elite. The wedding mandap was a sight to behold. A full 5-star hotel had been transformed into a dazzling wonderland of lights, flowers, and intricate decor, echoing the grandeur of ancient royalty. It was a full house, overflowing with beaming family members, dear friends, esteemed office colleagues, and distinguished foreign delegates from around the globe. Live music, mesmerizing classical dances, and captivating entertainment unfolded throughout the evening, a symphony of celebration. Yet, amidst all this grandeur, the inherent humbleness of Mr. and Mrs. Singhania was palpably visible. They moved through the vast crowd with grace and warmth, greeting every single guest politely, including Rohan. Mr. Singhania, beaming with paternal pride, introduced Rohan to his wife, Mrs. Priya Singhania, as Rohan, one of the most efficient and brilliant minds in our entire company. Rohan felt a familiar flush of shyness, a fleeting vestige of his humble past, but he managed a polite nod and a confident smile. Mrs. Singhania, elegant and serene, extended her hand gracefully, her smile warm. As their fingers briefly touched, something happened. Rohan wasn't sure what it was. But suddenly, Mrs. Singhania's radiant happiness abruptly transformed into a visible shock and profound astonishment. Her eyes, fixed on Rohan's face, widened imperceptibly, a flicker of raw, almost painful emotion crossing her features. She tried her best to compose herself, to hide her sudden distress, but the abrupt shift was undeniable. She mumbled a quick excuse about needing to check on something and quickly retreated from the crowd, her movements surprisingly hurried. Rohan felt a pang of confusion. Did I say something wrong? He wondered, his mind replaying their brief interaction. But the vibrant celebration quickly re-engrossed him, and he soon forgot the odd encounter, swept away by the joy of the evening. A week passed by after the wedding, the corporate world resuming its relentless pace. Everyone was back at work, the wedding now a glittering, distant memory. One day, as Rohan was preparing to leave the office, the CEO's voice, calm and unhurried, called him into his private chamber. Rohan went, expecting to discuss some pending work for the day, perhaps a new project. But Mr. Singhania's next words took him by surprise. Are you free this evening, Rohan? Rohan, caught completely off guard, replied, Yes, sir. Generally, I spend my evenings alone, studying or just relaxing. Mr. Singhania interrupted, a soft, almost wistful smile gracing his lips. Would you like to join us for dinner tonight? As in my family? It's been a while since we had a quiet family dinner. Rohan had absolutely no clue why he was being invited to such an intimate family gathering. He hesitated, then, feeling a strange, irresistible pull of curiosity and deep respect for his mentor, he agreed. "Of course, sir. I'd be honored." "Great. Wait for 10 minutes. I'll just wrap up a few things, and we can leave together." A sleek, luxurious car was waiting in the CEO's private parking lot. Both Mr. Singhania and Rohan settled into the spacious back seats. An awkward, heavy silence filled the car for the next 20 minutes, a palpable tension Rohan couldn't explain, until they finally reached Mr. Singhania's residence. Is this a home or a palace? Rohan thought to himself, his breath catching in his throat as they swept up the long, winding driveway. The sheer scale was breathtaking. The magnificent carpets, the glittering chandeliers casting a warm glow, the vast, arched windows looking out onto meticulously manicured gardens. It was, indeed, a palace. Mr. Singhania, noticing Rohan's undisguised awe, simply smiled and asked him to relax in the grand living room as he went inside to change. He returned within 5 minutes, dressed casually in comfortable tracksuits, his formal CEO persona shed. "Dinner is served. Let's go to the dinner table." As they proceeded towards the elegant dinner table, Rohan saw Mrs. Singhania, Alisha, the newlywed daughter, and her husband Varun already seated. Rohan greeted them all politely, feeling a nervous tremor in his stomach, and took his seat. The conversation flowed easily at first, pleasantries exchanged, until Mr. Singhania, his voice gentle but deliberate, turned to Rohan. "Rohan, we know a fair bit about your professional life now, but whom do you live with? What about your parents?" This was the first time the CEO had ever asked such deeply personal questions, his gaze uncharacteristically soft. Rohan, finding an unexpected comfort in the directness, and feeling an almost familial warmth from Mr. Singhania, began to speak, opening up about everything: his harsh, solitary childhood in the orphanage, his struggling days in the textile mill, his unwavering determination to get an education against all odds, his invaluable friendship with Aditya. As he spoke, recounting his painful past, he noticed Mrs. Singhania at the end of the table, her eyes fixed on him, seemingly emotionally choking, her hand trembling slightly as she dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. "Are you okay, madam?" Rohan asked, his voice filled with genuine concern. She managed a weak nod, unable to speak, her face etched with profound emotion. After dinner, they moved back to the sprawling, opulent living room, the air thick with an unspoken anticipation. After a minute of profound, almost unbearable silence, Mr. Singhania began, his voice surprisingly tentative, tinged with a deep, suppressed emotion. "Rohan, we want to discuss something very personal with you. Something that, we don't know if it's correct. We don't know if it's truly authentic. Still, we have to ask." He trailed off, looking at his wife, whose eyes, now glistening with unshed tears, implored him to continue. Rohan, completely baffled by the solemnity of the moment, could only manage, "Certainly, sir." "Anything." Then Mr. Singhania continued, his gaze falling to Rohan's neck, to the worn locket nestled beneath his shirt collar. "My wife saw this locket on your neck on the wedding day, Rohan." Rohan instinctively touched the gold, metallic shell, a piece of himself he always wore. "Yes, sir," he said, his voice quiet. "It said I was wearing this locket when the orphanage members found me." At these words, spoken so simply, Mr. Singhania could no longer hold back his emotions. His strict, composed demeanor crumbled entirely. Tears welled in his own eyes, mirroring his wife's, his face contorted with a raw, agonizing grief that seemed to erupt from decades of suppression. "Our 3-month-old son, Rohan, was also wearing a similar locket when we lost him 25 years ago," he choked out, his voice thick with unspeakable sorrow. "Lost him?" Rohan froze, the words hanging in the air like a cold, heavy shroud, each syllable piercing his heart. He looked at Mrs. Singhania, whose face was now a mask of raw, agonizing grief, tears streaming uncontrollably down her cheeks. She feebly moved forward towards Rohan, her hands reaching out, almost touching him. Then, with trembling fingers, she took the locket from his neck and, with a fragile strength, twisted it gently. It clicked open. Rohan had worn it his entire life, yet had never realized it worked that way. Inside, nestled within the worn gold, were 2 tiny, faded images, of a young Mr. Vikram Singhania and a radiant young Mrs. Priya Singhania. A collective gasp tore through the room as the realization dawned on Rohan. He stared at the images, then back at their tear-streaked faces. The Singhania couple now wept uncontrollably, decades of suppressed grief, regret, and agonizing loss finally erupting in a torrent of emotion. Mrs. Singhania, through her sobs, managed to gasp, her voice barely a whisper, "Do you have any birthmark on your right arm, dear? A small, black patch?" Rohan, numb with shock, his mind reeling, slowly, almost instinctively, folded back his shirt sleeve. There it was. Unmistakable. A small, dark, distinctive black patch, a birthmark on his inner right arm, exactly as she described. The truth, like a bolt of lightning, struck him with full, devastating force. The dream of the mother walking away, the endless search, the constant longing, it all clicked into place. He was not just Rohan, the orphan. He was Rohan Singhania, their lost son. Once they had controlled their overwhelming emotions, regaining a fragile composure amidst the debris of decades of pain, Mr. Singhania, his voice still hoarse with unshed tears, began to narrate the harrowing tale that had haunted their lives for a quarter-century. This, my son, started 40 years ago. When I was just 15 years old, and my elder brother, Rajan, was 18. We both started helping our father build this business, a small garment shop then. From the start, I had a natural, intuitive understanding of business. I could effortlessly handle things efficiently, strategize, and expand. Whereas my brother, Rajan, had absolutely no interest in commerce. He couldn't even manage a single meeting without losing focus or making a mess of things. Naturally, our father, seeing my dedication and acumen, preferred my involvement in the business far more than my elder brothers. I was assigned more complex tasks, given more responsibility, and slowly, over a few crucial years, I became in charge of most of the key decision-making. This, Rohan, fueled my brother's already simmering resentment. His envy festered, and he became excessively jealous of me. Mr. Singhania's voice hardened, tinged with a deep, lingering sorrow. He tried multiple times to sabotage me, to undermine my efforts, to ruin my reputation, but he always failed. He became more desperate, more cunning. Eventually, both of us got married at almost the same time. I guess he desperately wished to have a child before me, believing that his child, as the elder son's offspring, could somehow reclaim the business's lineage, even though this isn't a kingdom, Rohan. This business doesn't work on seniority or birthright. Business works on skills, on dedication, on vision. And here too, Rohan, you were born first. You were our first child, a beacon of joy. Mr. Singhania's voice broke. His jealousy, Rohan, turned utterly evil. He conspired to remove you from our lives, to erase you from our existence, believing that by doing so, his own future child would be the sole, undisputed heir. One day, Mr. Singhania continued, his voice barely a whisper, when your mother was away for barely 2 minutes for a daily chore in the garden, he stole you from your room. He simply fled with you. He vanished without a trace, taking our baby, our joy. And we lost you, Rohan. Forever. Believe me, my son, your mother and I, we left no stone unturned to search for you. We hired the best detectives, exhausted every resource, spent every penny we had. But you were found nowhere. It was only a few years back, when my brother, Rajan, was on his deathbed, racked with guilt, that he finally confessed. His voice was barely audible, but he mumbled about an orphanage where he had dropped you. We went there, Rohan, we inquired, we pleaded, we offered money. But no one cooperated. The manager, that despicable man, denied everything, claiming no knowledge. He must have been paid off to keep silent, to erase your traces from all records. Tears, hot and free, rolled down Rohan's face, now mingling with those of Mr. and Mrs. Singhania, and even Alisha and Varun, who listened in stunned silence. There they stood, a family, profoundly broken and incomplete for what felt like ages, now miraculously, impossibly, painfully, whole again. The unseen threads of destiny, so cruelly severed decades ago by a brother's desperate jealousy, had been painstakingly rewoven by the silent, powerful hand of fate. Years passed, not just in Rohan's professional life, but in his personal one. The bond with his biological parents, Mr. Vikram and Mrs. Priya Singhania, blossomed into an unbreakable connection, deepened with every shared meal, every late-night conversation, every quiet moment of rediscovered love and understanding. He learned about his true heritage, not just of immense wealth, but of an indomitable spirit of entrepreneurship that clearly ran in his veins. He continued to excel at Viridian Ventures, his innate talent now supercharged by a newfound sense of belonging and profound purpose. He absorbed every lesson from his father, Mr. Singhania, like the thirsty earth drinks the monsoon rain, his mind always eager, always learning. Rohan, the boy who once sold books on the streets, the orphan who once knew only hardship, was now as competent, as visionary, as his revered father, the CEO. The time eventually came for Mr. Vikram Singhania, now a truly seasoned patriarch, to step down and retire. With a heart full of pride and a profound sense of fulfillment, he gathered his children. He didn't just hand over the business, he meticulously distributed the vast empire among them, ensuring each played a vital role suited to their strengths and passions. And to Rohan, his long-lost son, his true heir in spirit and unparalleled skill, he entrusted the vast and thriving retail section of the organization. Thus, the extraordinary journey of Rohan, from the humble confines of a garage room under an open sky, from the dark, brutal confines of an orphanage, through the dust and din of a textile mill, to the gleaming apex of the corporate world, culminated. He now stood as the efficient, visionary CEO of Ekla Apparel, a thriving cornerstone of the multi-billion-dollar Veridian ventures. His story was a living testament to the unseen threads of fate, the unyielding power of the human spirit, and the extraordinary ways in which destiny, sometimes, chooses to bring us home, not just to a place, but to ourselves, and to the family we were always meant to have. And we came to the end of this incredible journey. If you like this story, please consider to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We will come up with more such incredible stories in days to come.